Hi everyone, and welcome back to ep36. I hope you've had the time to watch the last 3 episodes, where we've been talking about issues concerning women's health as we mark the 2026 International Women's Day. If you haven't watched this episode, this is the best time to do so. Now, in like the last episode, we took a sharp, ironic look at the madness label that's often slapped on women who are surviving narcissistic abuse. And we have established the truth that, cause your wives, your sisters, your mothers, your colleagues are not mad. They are just injured. They are just wounded people trying to navigate a complex world. But once we stop the labeling, once we actually do this, what do we do? Because that's a question most people would ask, especially if you're someone who have engaged in labeling other people, who have engaged in intentionally or even non-intentionally judging others. When you stop the judgments, when you stop the hysteria labeling of another woman or a patient or a colleague, what do we then actually do? Because this is what mostly leads to family estrangement. If they cannot keep labeling you with that toxic opinions, what else can people do? Many people do not know how to help. So today, if you're a family member or a friend or a partner who truly wants to give to gain this International Women's Day or any other day at all, especially as it concerns issues pertaining to women who are your partners, women who are your sisters or your colleagues, you need to learn how to be a reality anchor. And the reality anchor in this case is learning how to be a good listener. How do you listen? What are the guides to actually listen to a female colleague of yours who has suffered or who is recovering from narcissistic abuse? Sometimes, if it's in a workplace situation, we may not know because we may not understand where everyone is coming from, except they actually decide to share. If it's in a family situation, some of us would know which family member was not treated right, because of course you'd have heard some form of situation report, you'd have heard people share, such stories. So today's episode is like a how-to guide for the support system. How would you listen to this person? How can you support this person or these women? How do you listen to a heart and a body that has been systematically silenced for months, for decades? So let's dive in. Step 1, listen to the body, not just the words. Now, when a survivor is in the thick of complex post-traumatic disorder, that is someone who is still responding or who is still trying to come out of those shadows of adverse childhood experiences. And then they're experiencing those complex PTSD or brain fog or cloudy brain, like I call it. Her words might be circular, confused, and even repetitive. If you listen to only the logic, you might get frustrated. Sometimes I used to even wonder in my own case how, my supervisors understand me. Those guys are so patient with me because now I have the words in my head. I have the idea in my head. But once I open my mouth, my words are circular. My words are everywhere. my words are repetitive. If you watch my videos very well, right from when I started this podcast, you will know my words are usually repetitive. That is a sign of complex PTSD. That's a sign of a brain that has too much, a body that has too much stored. I'm still trying to heal. Healing is not a one-day journey. It takes some people the rest of their lives to heal from certain kind of abuse. So what can you do if you were my support system, or if you were trying to be a support system for someone healing from such experiences? First, notice the physiology. Is she like shallow breathing? Like when she's trying to narrate her story, or even when she's just trying to just be with you, just communicate normally with you, is she always shallow breathing? Are her shoulders up to her ears? Most times I walked like this. I'm always like this because I didn't know where that thing was coming from until I started reading about these issues. Is she dissociating? Is she always looking spaced out? Because sometimes when you are talking to an abuse survivor, someone trying to heal, what you see or what you hear when they speak is shallow breathing. Their breathing while they speak is not relaxed. It's not balanced. There's always it's just yeah. Because she's trying to hold it together and being hyper vigilant in that hyper vigilant state, because she doesn't really trust people around her, right? Then there's this tension in the shoulders. The shoulders are usually held up. Then she's always dissociating. The reason, of course, if you watch the previous videos, you know why dissociation it's a common occurrence with abuse survivors, because we would normally dissociate to avoid confrontation with the abuser. But then in most cases, it doesn't really work, because whether you dissociate or not, if the abuser wanted to manipulate you or wanted to physically attack you or emotionally manipulate you, they would do it anyways. But where dissociation helped back when the abuse was still going on was it kind of protected the brain, told the brain that, okay, this is not happening, or even if it's going to happen, the worst that could happen is probably the outburst. But then the outburst came with a lot of verbal abuse. Sometimes it was physical abuse. Sometimes it was financial abuse. Sometimes it was something, many people still cannot talk about. So you look at the person's physiology, you notice any thing that is not normal in the person's physiology. Then to the person, your anchor phrase can be like, I can see that your body is under a lot of stress right now, and we don't have to solve this minute. I'm here to listen. Now, see, by acknowledging the window of tolerance, you give her the permission to break into a regulated state before she has to explain or has to describe the situation to you. What is the window of tolerance? That space between the hyper vigilance state and then the hypo-arousal state. The hypo-arousal state is like the state of depression, the state of numbness, where, the body and the brain and her mouth just freezes. I have been in that state severally. There was a time that in a family meeting, because of hypo-arousal conditions, and then when they are speaking in a family meeting, I don't talk. I'll just be looking because I'm frozen. I'm frozen because there were so many things happening with my HPA, my axis, my neuronal connections. I couldn't bring myself to have that discussion. You understand? And when you are in such a place where you cannot bring yourself to have sensitive or important family discussions, people look at you as though you're dumb. Because, of course, they don't understand, they don't understand the concept of numbness when you're supposed to be talking. Or even if they do understand the concept of numbness, they would use it against you. Some will use it against you just to put you down in the presence of important people that are important to you. So you see, so if as a support system, as a person support system, looking at their physiology and being sensitive about their condition at that moment is very important to help them stay regulated, and to help them actually share what they need to share with you. So the next one is the reality check. So when you've checked the reality, step 2 would be to counter the reality. What is countering reality in this case is like countering gaslighting. Many of these people have suffered chronic gaslighting. Gaslighting from family, gaslighting from friends, gaslighting from lovers, gaslighting from the health system, gaslighting from the social system. You know, narcissistic abuse functions by blurring the lines of reality. So the survivor has been told that she's mad, or she's not seeing things clearly, or her wires are crossed so many times that these people no longer trust their own eyes. They no longer trust their own eyes, because once you keep telling somebody that, okay, this decision they made is wrong, this lipstick they wore is not the right one. When you put someone in a state of constant criticism, they lose a sense of self. They lose that sense of being. They forget themselves. Now, this is when this is what narcissists like, because of course they would like the person that will forget herself and become practically a slave to them. And that's why when you've been in narcissistic abuse and you begin to wake up, and you begin to actually begin to protect yourself, or speak out for yourself, you become an enemy, not just to the narcissist, but to other people who were benefiting from your silence, to the people who were benefiting from your depression, to the people who were benefiting from the state you were during such abuse. So, but when you support the survivor by countering every gaslighting issue she may have come across, right? It would like give her external validation. It will give her external validation. She will know that, okay, someone actually sees what I'm going through. Someone actually relates with what I'm going through. What they need at that moment is that external validation. I know on social media there's a lot of talk about how you don't need anybody to validate you. Validate yourself. God already validated. I know. I understand. But you see, if validation from someone that really understands where you're coming from is something that a survivor would appreciate for life. So when she recounts an event and asks you if maybe she's being too sensitive or she's imagining those things, don't stay neutral, because neutrality feels like abandonment to a brain that has been gaslit. So this is not a time to put on your flying monkey jacket and become loyal to the abuser, maybe because of maybe something you're benefiting or something, you are trying to avoid. This is not the time to be neutral or to become a flying monkey at all. Especially if you have seen the situation, especially if you believe that situation actually happened. You could tell the survivor, you could say, okay, no, you're not imagining things. That was a boundary violation. Anyone will feel hurt by that. I saw that too. And I'm here with you. Show them empathy. Show them you understand. Show them, like, agree with them that, okay, that hurt, that abuse shouldn't have happened. Shouldn't have happened at all, let alone happening to her. Because there's a research from the Institute for Trauma Recovery, if I remember during the editing of this video, I'm going to post it here, that suggests that co-regulation, where a safe person stays calm and validates the victim's reality, is the fastest way to lower elevated cortisol levels in the survivor. In the previous videos, if you watch, I had explained what elevated cortisol level means for a survivor, right? For the woman's body, it meant generalized body pain, fibromyalgia, chronic musculoskeletal pain, tension headaches, migraines, right? It meant a lot of digestive issues, gut leak. So the next one would be to avoid the fixer trap. Once you have countered the gaslighting, the next step would be to avoid trying to fix things, because you are well-meaning, and many well-meaning friends would try to fix the situation by giving unsolicited advice. Like, say if it was a toxic marriage, you say, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just be more assertive? Right? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Many survivors already know what they want to do. They don't just have the support, general support, the 360 support to do those things. When they share with you, you can try to fix later on, but at that moment, that's not what you should be doing. What you should be doing at that moment is called active listening. Active what? Listening and witnessing. Understand that her chronic fatigue and executive dysfunction. Yes, I'm giving another name to brain fog. I call brain fog cloudy brain. And then another name now is executive dysfunction, because of course, if I digress, but of course, if you have chronic brain fog, your brain is clouded with so many things, and a cloudy brain is usually if not carefully managed, an unproductive brain. So understand that these situations, these responses her body is giving, is just make things like just leave feel like climbing Everest with broken legs. Do you understand? So if someone is going through all these and then you're telling them, just leave, just be more assertive, talk to him more, try to have an open communication with this parent that has abused you over a decade, this family member, external or internal, whoever they are, that have abused you over the time. When you tell them those things, it feels like you're giving them more work to do with a sore body, a sore muscles. So it's not when you begin to, no, it's not when to tell them to try to fix it for them. Another thing people do in this state, before I say what you should do, another thing people do in this state is to begin to narrate their own situation and probably how they are doing well. Now, somebody comes to you and say, look, this person, I'm suffering abuse from this person, or I've been suffering abuse over years or decades from these people. And then the next thing you're telling the person is, I have a car, I bought my house, I went for vacation, my kids attend Harvard. Look, all those things show you're also not a healed person. You also need some healing, because what that is doing to this person is invalidating her feelings. So that's not the time to begin to bring out all your successes at her face. What you could do at that moment is say something like, look, I'm not here to tell you what to do, right? I'm here to hold a flashlight while you find your way in this messy, this very thick forest. What do you need most at this moment? Do you need a listener? Do you need some distraction? Can I take you out for a drink or some coffee? Can I make a meal for you? Can I take you to the movies? Can we watch a movie together? Can we discuss a book together? Find the person's hobby and try to suggest if you guys can do that together. Some people just need you to listen to them. Other people need some form of distraction so they're able to cope with that process. Then step 4. We talked about structural witnessing. Now, this is structural listening. You listen. Guys, many of us don't know how to listen without interjecting, without bringing in our own stories, without sharing our own pains. I know a lot of people are going through a lot, but when a narcissistic abuse survivor is trying to explain or tell you what they are going through, listen. If you want to be a support system for the person, this is not forward. So, structural listening. So, as we move forward towards rights, justice, action, and goals of the International Women's Day 2026, listening must become structural. So, if, say, you are an employer or a community leader or a religious leader or a family leader, listen to the absence of performance. I don't want to talk about families too much because families lose it quickly due to so many factors. Parents lose it quickly due to so many factors. Heads of small or even large families lose it quickly. Could be due to financial factors, due to health reasons, due to the fact that they had even scapegoated this woman that's now suffering, that's now trying to survive from the abuse. So families lose it. I don't like talking about families in this kind of complex situations because it's another year-long series on its own. So if you're a leader in any context, listen to the absence of performance. If a high achiever in your team or your organization suddenly has memory problems or some frequent illness, don't jump into taking disciplinary measures. That track should be the last thing you should take. You don't have discussions with this person and say, see, I've noticed you've been struggling with your health lately. Let's take a look at how we can adjust your environment or your time or your schedule to support recovery. Because guys, to give a survivor your silent, non-judgmental presence is the greatest investment you can make. What do you gain when you do that? What do you gain? You gain the return of a woman's soul. You gain the return of a woman's self, her being. You gain the healing of a family. Because we all know how important it is for women to hold families together. When you give a narcissistic abuse survivor, that unjudgmental presence, you gain a community that values truth over peace at any price. So if you're listening to this and you've realized that you have not been the best anchor so far, maybe for that your sister, your colleague, or your parent, or your daughter, it's not too late to start. You can start today. You can start with words like, I believe you. You can start by actually listening to her. You can start by actually sitting, with her and watching her. You can start by validating her. It won't take anything from you. I'm going to stop this video here, and thanks for tuning in to Rhoda360. Please, if you've not watched the other 3 episodes talking about narc abuse survivors and the impact it has on the woman's body, please do, as we mark this International Women's Day this weekend, this week, and always. It's not just the process is not just one day. It's not a one-day thing. It's an ongoing thing. Healing does not happen one day. Change does not happen one day. You as a person does not, evolve one day. It takes time. One day at a time, one step at a time. The most important thing is that you keep doing something that gets you to the full cycle of fulfillment. See you in the next episodes. Bye.